So one of the things I want to put is sort of things in perspective, all right? So we have, you already know, we have ISO 26262 functional safety, right? We have ISO 21434 product cybersecurity. So it's for the product, whatever the product is. We have ISO 21448, which is a SOTIC. SOTIC just means functional safety is sort of static in 26262. SOTIC takes it in a dynamic way, saying that if there's a braking system, what if somebody breaks abruptly? Or what if, you know, you're going to changing the lane and a motorcycle comes from that side? So those are all the scenarios. Okay. So 2162, thank you. I just wanted to just say, lastly, that ISACs protects the infrastructure. Does that make sense? They could break into the design, or they could break into your manufacturing plant versus the product, okay? You have to protect both. In fact, there is a UN ECE group that needs to create regulations. The UN is not, the US is not a signatory, but many countries in the world, including the European Union, Korea, Japan, I believe China has all signed up. So it's actually a regulation R157. That's what the lady this morning mentioned as a European regulation that she implemented, okay? Where you have to do both infrastructure cybersecurity and you have to do product cybersecurity. Okay. Thanks. All right. So this is a very, very timely, and for those of you who love ASPICE, it's news in terms of what is happening with PAM 3.1. So for us principal assessors and competent assessors and provisional assessors in this room, we've all been practicing PAM 3.1. So ASPICE or Intax and BDA have been busy at work updating the PAM 3.1 to PAM 4.0. One of the reasons I wanted to make sure, so and of course Ranjeet Chhabra, who's with us, is going to tell us what those changes are. The reason I wanted to introduce him is I want you to know who you're getting, okay? He is one of 16 people who have been the reviewers of this PAM 4.0. So worldwide, he's one of the 16. He's also one of the people who's helping put together all the different training courses that will be, for us assessors to transition to these new standards. So he's somebody, by the way, I could say he's Japanese, but you can see he's not Japanese. How many years in Japan, Ranjeet? 17. 17 years in Japan. And still is one of the key trainers there for ASPICE. And we're very, very happy to have him. Very happy to have him as part of the Omnex team. Let's all give a big round of applause and welcome him for this presentation.
Thank you, all of you, for this lovely welcome, and Chad, especially for this lovely introduction. And you know how much pressurized I am right now. You have put me into a deep pressure to deliver, which after, in fact, I was going through all the presentations in the morning, and a lot of discussion about, implementation aspects. And I was just thinking, mine is such a boring one, that what is the difference between 3.1 and 4.0? What I'm going to talk about it. And adding to that, this one, anyways, I'll try, to spice it up whatever possible. And I hope, please cope up with me. And if you feel disappointed, just don't tell it to me. Okay, so especially sorry, with my introduction, I've already talked about it, so I won't repeat it. I'm already Chad has added much more to what is written over here. So I'll straight away go to this my topic. Of course, to be honest, I'm being busy, updating my presentation every time. And again, just to make sure that, okay, what level should I talk, whether it is a basic one or it is more advanced, and I get a lot of input that, okay, we have to, so just let's go into it, okay? So these are the four major topics that I'll be talking about, and that is the overview about 4.0, the impacted items from version 3.1, and ASPICE guideline and changes in the course structure. What we see, what we just now, Chad talked about that, okay, what in tax we are preparing or we are going into the courses, what are the changes that will be there in the coming, or maybe from next year, okay? ASPICE, just other slide, I guess it's, we have also had presentation, Nikhil talked about it and everything. But anyways, one important line I would just emphasize, model developed by the automotive for the automotive, okay? So it's the authors are the OEM, the German OEMs, okay? It has a very wide acceptance, and this acceptance starts right from its release in 2005, where all the German OEMs accepted. And my experience, we just discussed about it since 2007, I was in Japan, and we bought, automotive spice to Japan and then Southeast Asia and China. And what I believe, as of now, it's very widely accepted in US, and I see a lot of assessments happening, and a lot of buzz about automotive spice and OEMs as well as suppliers implementing it. Won't go much about the benefits, quality, less rework. We have already talked about it, and there has been a discussion on that. Okay, this release timing, not just to tell you about 2005 is started, but right now we say, or in this presentation, we'll use the term 4.0, but technically the correct term is 3.991, okay? So the 4.0 is to be released maybe by next month, which was supposed to be in this month, but unfortunately it couldn't got released, okay? Okay. I take this also opportunity to not only talk about automotive spice, but just one slide. Let me tell you that the spice model in itself has many other models which we might be knowing or we have some idea about. But it has cybersecurity spice, mechanical spice, agile spice, organization, test, data management, spice for IT, and of course, the major one, or which is more famous, or in fact, maybe I can say that since VDA took over, so it become more famous, and cybersecurity is also. So the bottom line is, spice has everything. You name it, we have it. Okay, so all the problems, we have the solutions for that. Okay, this is not for someone who is a provisional assessor or principal, but just a quick overview. SPICE also has 5 levels of mature capability, to be precise, starting from level 0 to 5 or 1 to 5 to be technically correct. And it has a process dimension. Just one change for the those who are more familiar with version 3.1, that is now we call as II, or you can say information items instead of work products. So that is the major change what has been there. Okay, I think in the previous presentation, what Nikhil was showing, we saw version 3.1 as an architecture. Now this is version 4.0 architecture. The difference is that now the hardware processes, the machine learning processes, and validation processes, these are the new groups which has been added. Okay, so one additional group. And coincidentally, the number of processes remains same, even there are many ACQ processes, if you are aware of, that has been removed. And now we have 32 processes still with that. And of course, we'll talk about it, that what exactly. So the basic idea was to understand 2 things. One is the importance of hardware processes as an integral part of overall development, and considering the AI use of machine learning is something which I would say that okay, now it has started, and we don't have much experience on that. We haven't faced any assessment of the organization getting implemented, but definitely it's here to stay. And that is something which I think since morning there have been so many presentations regarding the future autonomous and machine learning processes. And definitely it's going to be a very vital and integral part of the automotive spice framework. Okay, in general, like just wanted to talk about this, that what are the processes that we have. I guess all of you are well aware of it regarding the system processes, which talks about system. We have the software processes in automotive spice, which talks about the entire software development, hardware, machine learning. We just talked about it. Supporting processes. In fact, I'll just take a quick, in the morning, like when we were having a panel discussion, and we talked about some problems, right? Like I think Joe was talking about the Jira dashboard, doesn't make much relevance. Or we have talked about change management. And I think Ram said that, software change management is a little critical. And also we talked about, some question was there regarding the requirements getting changed. Honestly, everything, the answer is here. It talks about everything. We have a process, problem management talks about trend analysis, change management talks about prioritizing your changes, making a CCB high level, low level, deciding on your change, approval of changes, maintaining traceability with the work products. Then, in fact, the engineering processes, what we talk about, the software and system, defining your releases, prioritizing your releases, mapping them to customer. So, of course, we don't have time to go into the practice level, but let me tell you, all the problems, if there is any, just this is the place where you need to be. Call the process, call automotive spice, and that will take care of everything for sure. Okay, just one additional means I just wanted to emphasize on this regarding the traceability. One of the major, you can say, characteristics or why automotive spice was so much accepted and in fact utilized by the automotive industry, and why OEMs have their requirements, especially for maintaining the traceability, which is one of the most important in every process, engineering process. The traceability requirement is there, and this is where I guess I think Chad also has a lot of talk on this, that okay, right from the stakeholder coming down to system and system architecture and software units, and then going again back to and verifying each of at each level against those verification aspects. It is tough. It is definitely challenging, but that is what automotive spice emphasizes, and that is what the minimum requirements is there to be met, to be compliant. And that is where it scores a lot. And I think just one thing I would add, that we talk about automotive spice, what we say, it's a model, right? It just describes processes at the what level. We as an implementer, be it your tier 1, tier 2, or even at any level, need to define it as a how level. For years, the implementation, the requirements, the expectations of OEMs, of course, when I say OEMs, again, I'm talking about my experience from the German OEMs. And now we talk about also some Chinese and Japanese OEMs, So because they have taken all that. The how part is really tough. It takes a lot to meet all the or to pass an assessment, to get what qualified. And I guess all of you are aware of what the OEMs like VW has its own set of requirements. I mean to say that okay, they want at least 16 processes, the VDA scope that we talk about, to be at level 3, and same with BMW, the HIS scope, what earlier it was. So that is what that is what we all, and as a supplier organization, as a tier 1, as a tier 2, have been trying to meet those requirements. And even if not said specifically, the meeting or complying to the requirements of ASPICE has always been challenging. Now, the next topic, which actually was the main topic for this, that is impact from items from 3.1, that what exactly has changed. Of course, I have a presentation with 400 slides for it, and I need to compile that in 4 slides. I'll try to do that. So again, considering the time limits, I have to stick to just very basics of that. I've just made this in 4, like, in terms of management processes, engineering support, and the other processes. So verification processes. So project management, there has not been much changes, not much impacts. Only the thing is that the work item, what we saw, like work products in that. So now that organization has been changed. Means organization, I mean to say, the way it is presented or represented, that has changed. Now we call it like information items, and that is what the blue part in terms of what is there. Supporting processes, I guess those who are well aware of that, we all understand automotive spice. All the supporting processes start with the very first base practice, that is strategy. And that has now been moved, or you can say shifted, to level 2. Of course, the core remains there. The heart is still there, and I don't recommend to lower on what the expectations are there, because as an assessors, we are looking into all the criteria and the properties, and that would be still there, considering the overall. It's just a matter of the reason was that again. The rating issues which were coming up, as an assessors, we look into level 2 aspects more instead of level 1. So that is the reason it has been shifted. Requirement processes, specific BP has been removed regarding the verification criteria, and information items has been changed. Design processes, not, I would say, a major change in terms of practices, organization. But however, the core remains the same, that it looks still for the dynamic and static aspects. Yes, emphasis is now on one additional aspect, that is how the individual components would behave. Verification processes, now we call it verification instead of testing, and strategy BP is removed, what I just talked about. And as we talked about that, in integration now, we have additional aspect in terms of the component behavior and the integration between units. Capability dimension in level 2, the generic practices, not has been much changes. It's just basically now the generic practices, in levels we see generic resources. So now we have a clear understanding of the output information items. And for level 3, again, the same, the overall practices remain similar, only the number of GPs has been reduced, more clarity, one-to-one mapping between PA 3.1 and 3.2. Okay, the discussion on ASPICE won't be complete if we don't talk about ASPICE guideline. As we all are aware of that, when there's a gold book, blue gold book, which was published for 3.1. So now for 4.0 also, there is a gold book, which, right now it's in the draft version, so it's a yellow book. It has also gone major changes in terms of its content. Now it contains all the 32 processes. The recommendations which were there, around 200 plus, they have now been removed, and there are now 290 rules for 32 processes. Otherwise, many rules have been removed. And of course, more clarity. The most important thing is now that it covers all the 32 processes which are there. And if you want to go through that, you can also download it from the VDA website, because after once it is released formally, you need to pay at least €50 for that. So, okay, so this is all about the major changes in the overall processes and guideline. How it changed or how it impacts the core structure. So this will be the new course structure, or what we call as the future Intax training structure. So right now, I guess all of the provisional assessors who are or the way you have been attending. So it won't be that easy for the future generation or from next year, July onwards, because you need to undergo at least 3 training, because now the levels has changed. Now there's additional process expert training which is added. And then you have to also go for hardware and machine learning spies. So after undergoing for these 3 training, then only you can go for a provisional assessor training. So that has been one of the major changes, and all the extensions, some of them have been working, and the extensions, the training material is under developing. I'll just show the so this is a new level. We always see this slide whenever we go through Intact's understanding. So now instead of 5, there are 6 levels, and process expert is one additional level that would be there. And this is the training timeline. So by next year, June, we are expecting to release all the trainings related to provisional assessor, competent, and expert training. Again, it was almost done, but again, considering the 4.0 release, it was halted, and now it will be there. And by next year, June, so this entire the training, and there will be a transition period, so that we'll see whether it's 1.5 or 2 years. Just to tell you that, okay, as I said initially, of course, it is very famous, automotive spies. What I understand, it's a global standard accepted by the automotive industry worldwide. But just as far as the assessors are concerned, there are 6,000 assessors. So we have around 2,000 in Germany, around 1,000 in China and Japan, and around 1,000 put together in Korea and India. US has around 200 assessors. So there is a long way to go, okay? So please go ahead with that, okay? So what we need to do for 4.0, as we just talked about initially in the morning also, we have, of course, we need to train the leadership. All the experienced members, we need to understand the difference. I said, I just went through a very high level about the differences. In case you want to align your processes with the current ASPICE. And not last but not the least, not the template checklist, and machine learning hardware processes. Once once again, it depends on how the OEMs look into it or how the suppliers take into it as part of your assessment scope, and then definitely as part of your process framework and training for all members. So as a conclusion, so that's all from my side. So as I said, we are expecting to release in 2023 November, the 4.0. So we need to take care of the latest changes, prepare ourselves accordingly, and be ready for any changes as well as part of in terms of meeting the OEM's expectations and organizational expectations.